Good morning, dear students. This lecture's topic is syndrome of acute kidney injury and syndrome of chronic kidney disease. During current lecture, I would like to add also description of one clinical case, patient with acute kidney injury. Acute kidney injury, what is it? Acute kidney injury is a term that has recently replaced, by the way, the term acute renal failure. And current time we use the definition acute kidney injury is recommended. Acute kidney injury is defined as an abrupt, within a short period of time, decrease in kidney function, which encompasses both injury on the one hand and impairment, loss of function. So patients with acute kidney injury, they have structural damaging and loss of function of kidney. Acute kidney injury causes a buildup of waste products in blood and makes it hard for the kidney to keep the right balance of fluid in the body. It is a syndrome that rarely has a sole and distinct pathophysiology. By the way, many patients with acute kidney injury have a mixed etiology where the presence of sepsis, ischemia, and nephrotoxicity often coexist and complicate recognition of disease and treatment. Acute kidney injury can also affect other organs such as brain, heart, and lungs. Acute kidney injury is common in patients who are in hospital, who are taking in hospital treatment, especially patients from departments of intensive care unit departments, and it is typical especially for older patients. Furthermore, this syndrome is quite common among patients without critical illness, and it is essential that healthcare professionals, particularly those without specialization in renal disorders, detect it easily. Signs and symptoms of disease. We notice that signs and symptoms of acute kidney injury differ depending on the cause and may include the too little urine leaving the body, swelling in legs, ankles, and at the face, fatigue, tiredness, shortness of breath, confusion, nausea, a seizure or coma in severe cases, chest pain or pressure. In some cases, acute kidney injury causes no symptoms and is only found via the laboratory tests. At clinical setting, we stratify the course of this disease into three main phases. The first, oliguric phase, the second one, the diuretic phase, and the third one, recovery phase. At oliguric phase, patients notice a low volume of urine output, less than 400 milliliter per day, occurs, and this phase occurs within 1 week, 1 to 7 days of kidney injury. At laboratory setting, we usually find out CAS, RBC, white blood cells, metabolic acidosis, hyperkalemia, hyponatremia, elevated blood nitrogen and creatinine, fatigue, malaise. At the second diuretic phase, we notice gradual increasing in urine output up to 1 to 3 liter per day. Sometimes this volume may reach 3 to 5 liter per day. Patients, in such cases, they suffer from hypovolemia, dehydration, hypertension, creatinine levels begins normalize. Recovery phase. At recovery phase this phase begins when GFR increases, blood, urea, nitrogen, and creatinine levels plateau, then decrease. Causes of acute kidney injury multiple. There are multiple causes, but we highlight some of them. For example, hypovolemia, related causes which is related with cardiovascular failure. It may be due to extrarenal obstruction, causes which related, for example, glomerulonephritis, which related with inflammation, immune inflammation, causes which related with some bleedings, for example, low blood volume due to some burns, pancreatitis, peritonitis, etc. And next groups of etiological factors which are related with using of nephrotoxic medications. Classification of acute kidney injury, we stratify patients with acute kidney injury according the initial cause to three main subgroups. First subgroup, these are patients with pre-renal acute renal injury. They have sudden and severe drop in blood pressure, shock or interruption of blood flow into the kidney from severe injury or illness. Second subgroup of patients, they have intrarenal causes. Intrarenal means direct damage to the kidney by inflammation, toxins, drugs, infections, or reduced blood supply. And the third is postrenal, sudden obstruction of urine. And as for intrarenal or intrinsic types of acute renal failure, they subsequently they have been subdivided in three main subgroups. First, patients with acute glomerulonephritis. They involve inflammation and damage to the glomerular membrane. Second subgroup of intrinsic type of acute renal failure. These are patients with acute interstitial nephritis, and allergic reactions may be caused by a variety of medications. And third subgroup, these are patients with acute tubular necrosis, accounts for more than half of cases of acute renal failure. Diagnostic of acute kidney injury, it is important that acute kidney injury is found as soon as possible. And because this condition can lead to chronic kidney disease or even kidney failure. Which tests are necessary? The following tests may be done. Measuring urine output. We evaluate how much urine patient pass each day to help find the cause of acute kidney injury. Next is urine tests. We look at urinalysis to find signs of kidney failure. Blood tests, we assess carefully level of creatinine. Also, we evaluate urea, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium in addition to blood tests for protein in order to look at kidney function. Of course, we do not restrict investigation by level of creatinine. We calculate GFR, glomerular filtration rate, to estimate the decrease in kidney function. Imaging tests such as ultrasound may help to evaluate kidney, assess kidney, and look for anything abnormal. Kidney biopsy, this procedure is not routine test, but this procedure can be helpful for some unclear cases, for the evaluation, for confirming the clarified diagnosis. Staging of acute kidney injury. As for staging, we highlight several stages. Stages depends on stages of acute kidney injury depends on serum creatinine level. Patients with mild increasing of creatinine level, we refer them to the stage 1, then stage 2, and the patients with severe increasing of creatinine, we refer them to stage 3. It is important it is important to notice that conceptual model of proposed retrospective staging of acute kidney injury on admission. First, kidney disease, improving global outcomes. So we use, by the way, we use these criteria which have been proposed by global improving global outcomes. We use abbreviation KDIGO, and for this criteria we use serum creatinine concentration. For urine output criteria, we use other diagnostical criteria. Next, propose retrospective diagnosis of and staging of acute kidney injury. The minimum serum creatinine, we also you take into account serum creatinine. The minimum serum creatinine within 7 days is compared with the reference value, and see at look at image C. We use recovery and acute kidney disease definitions, and acute kidney disease may then reverse within 7 days, acute kidney recovery, or progress to acute kidney disease with or without chronic kidney disease. Acute kidney injury. I would like to present you clinical case from Department Nephrology. This is a 20 years old young male patient. He complains of pain in paraumbilical region. Also, he complains for pain in the arms and leg muscles. He noticed vomiting and dark color-colored urine since 2 days. About medical history, there was history of heavy physical exercises in the gymnasium 3 days before, when he joined the gym for physical training. It should be noticed that this patient, he hadn't had regular exercises before this episode. He was very enthusiastic to start the exercise. He did multiple exercises many times. For example, push-ups, 3 periods by 15 times, and weight training exercise. Then he did cardio for 15 minutes in the form of static cycling. Then he did 20 crunches, abdominals. So all above mentioned exercises he did at the same day, at same visit of gym. Then he noted a lot of muscle pain post-exercise, but this patient he ignored for some time. He had to visit the doctor, apply to doctor when he started getting dark colored urine after 24 hours. He was admitted there for about 6 hours, given non-steroid anti-inflammatory drug injection for muscle pain and some intravenous fluids. He wasn't on any medications or any performance enhancing substances. This patient, he was not doing any exercise for previous 2 years, and he was busy because he was busy in studies. He is a student. He was a student. There was no history of similar attacks in the past, and his urine output dropped, and blood investigations were referred to laboratory, and blood samples showed high creatinine. That's why he was shifted to tertiary care private hospital in intensive care unit. Objectively, his vitals were normal. There was superficial tenderness in the anterior abdominal wall. Surgical reference was done. There was no deep tenderness. Ultrasonography was requested and patient was dehydrated. Examination showed tenderness, swelling in both arms and thigh muscle groups. Movements were painful. There was no ecchymosis and no sensory or motor deficit of the limbs. Distal pulsations were normal. Laboratory blood test: hemoglobin about normal, white blood cells about normal, platelets also normal. Urine analysis, we found albumin, red blood cells, pus cells, and granular casts. Creatine phosphokinase was significantly increased. Lactate dehydrogenase also increased. Uric acid also increased. Serum sodium was about normal. Potassium about normal. Blood urea nitrogen 35 increased, and serum creatinine was also increased. On admission, there was metabolic acidosis. Myoglobin levels were not assessed. The blood chemistry results for the days after exertion are shown as this table. So this is this is dynamical changes of blood urea nitrogen, and we can see that at seventh day the blood urea nitrogen decreased, and serum creatinine also decreased. At day 30, serum creatinine decreased up to 1.2. And also we notice a decreasing of creatinine kinase, serum creatinine kinase. Instrumental tests: ultrasound abdomen, ultrasonography showed bilateral increased renal cortical echogenicity with loss of corticomedullary differentiation. The rest of the study within normal limits. And MRI of legs or paraumbilical muscles wasn't undertaken due to cost constraints. Echocardiogram showed normal functioning heart. The final diagnosis of this patient was acute kidney injury secondary to rhabdomyolysis, and his urine output was monitored hourly and was 75 up to 100 milliliter per hour. By the third day, his brown colored urine, myoglobinuria, was clearing to normal, and he remained hemodynamically stable. Next question, this is chronic kidney disease. What is chronic kidney disease? Chronic kidney disease, this is a condition which is characterized by gradual loss of kidney function over time. Chronic kidney disease includes conditions is that damaged kidney and decreases their ability to eliminate wastes. If kidney disease gets worse, wastes can build to high levels in the blood and make patient feel sick. Patients may develop complications of, there are several complications of chronic kidney disease, such as arterial hypertension, anemia, weak bones, poor nutritional health, and nerve damage. Presence of chronic kidney disease increases the likelihood of having heart and blood vessel disease. These problems may happen slowly over a long period of time. Chronic kidney disease, what are the main causes of chronic kidney disease? These are diabetes, hypertension, and other disorders. And if for patients' prognosis, it's important early detection, timely diagnosis, and treatment. Above mentioned treatment, early detection and treatment can keep chronic kidney disease from getting worse. When kidney disease progresses, it may eventually lead to kidney failure, which requires dialysis or kidney transplants to maintain life. Etiology of chronic kidney disease, there are multiple etiological factors, but the most common causes these are diabetes and hypertension. They are responsible for up to 66% of the cases of chronic kidney disease. Also, we take into account other factors, for example, age of patient, age older than 60 years, smoking, obesity, hereditary factor, and cardiovascular disease, they also contribute to likelihood of onset of chronic kidney disease. Other conditions that affect the kidney, they are glomerulonephritis. These disorders, they are the third most common type of chronic kidney disease. Inherited diseases such as polycystic kidney disease, which causes large cysts to form in the kidney and damage the surrounding tissue. Malformations that occur prenatally, for example, a narrowing may occur that prevents normal outflow of urine and causes reflux of urine. This causes infections and may damage the kidney. Lupus, systemic lupus erythematosus, and other diseases that affect the body's immune system. Obstructions caused by problems like kidney stones, tumors or prostate gland adenoma in male patients, and repeated urinary infections, they are confounding factors. Symptoms of chronic kidney disease, most people, they may be asymptomatic until the kidney disease is advanced. However, patients feel more tired, they usually have less energy, they trouble concentrating, they have a poor appetite, they have trouble sleeping, have muscle cramping at night, have swollen feet, ankles, have puffiness of face, around eyes, have dry, itchy skin, and need to urinate more often, especially at night. By the way, the nocturnal diuresis is bigger than daily diuresis. There are the risk factors of chronic kidney disease, as I told previously: diabetes, high blood pressure, hereditary factor, older age, older than 60 years, and specific population groups with high rate of diabetes, such as Afro-Americans, Hispanic Americans, Asian Pacific Islanders, and American Indians. And we take into account all above mentioned symptoms. So let's conclude. Patients, they complain to headache, decreased ability to concentrate, urine, polyuria, oliguria, edema, increasing GFR, potassium, blood pressure increased, and increased serum creatinine. Diagnosis for chronic kidney disease, we refer patients to laboratory tests. We check CBC test, metabolic analysis, urinalysis. About serum albumin level, patients, they may have hypoalbuminemia due to malnutrition, urinary protein loss, or chronic inflammation. We check, of course, lipid profile. It's very important. Patients with chronic kidney disease, they have an increased risk of cardiovascular disease. That's why we check carefully, especially LDL cholesterol level. As for GFR is very important. This test useful for assessment how much kidney function do the patient has. And GFR can be calculated from blood creatinine, age, race, gender, and other factors. There are multiple free online calculators and mobile apps for calculation. We take into account 60 milliliter per minute. Patients with less than 60 milliliter per minute GFR, they are considered as clinically chronic kidney disease, having chronic kidney disease. Kidney biopsy, ultrasound, or CT, these are useful. They can tell the doctor whether kidney are too large or too small. About kidney biopsy, it is recommended in some unclear cases to clarify diagnosis. Staging of chronic kidney disease. According to GFR, we stratify patients to 5 stages. we take into account results of GFR. For detection, for confirming diagnosis, we refer patients serum specimen, urine specimen. For laboratory test, we check electrolytes, we check histological abnormalities, albuminuria. So by the way, this is a strip test for albumin, confirming albumin presence or absence. Microalbuminuria is more useful for earlier the diagnosis of chronic kidney disease. This test is qualitative test, answer to positive or negative. Urinalysis, we check urinalysis in adult patients in order to evaluate patients. We calculate, we assess the 24 urine sample in order to evaluate protein to creatinine ratio. Patients with protein to creatinine ratio more than 200 milligram should undergo a full diagnostic evaluation. So that's why this test can be used as a screening test. For this screening of patients, we use albumin-specific dipsticks for prompt evaluation of albuminuria. This test is useful for screening of large population. Screening for chronic kidney disease, there are recommendations from clinical guidelines. First of all, asymptomatic adults without risk factors for chronic kidney disease, they shouldn't be screened. They are not indicated for screening. Second conclusion, adults with or without type 2 diabetes who are currently taking RAS inhibitors shouldn't be tested for proteinuria. Why? Because these medications, RAS inhibitors, they have potent nephroprotective properties. Next conclusion, in treating patients with hypertension and stage 1 to 3, chronic kidney disease, clinicians should select pharmacological therapy that includes either an ACE inhibitors, moderate quality evidence, or angiotensin receptor 2 blockers. So, and elevated LDL cholesterol in patients with stage 1 to 3 chronic kidney disease should be managed with statin therapy. This is these guidelines with strong recommendation, moderate to qualify evidence. We have finished this lecture. Thank you very much for attention, and don't hesitate to ask me questions.